Okay, so now they gave it to us a little bit different. So they said, let's just still do it. A sub 1 equals A1 n minus 1 times d. Hey, they gave me the first term. So far nothing's different. I promise it's building to something. They told us the fifth term was 10. So 10 equals negative 14 plus 5 minus 1 times d by 4. D equals 6. Oh, they want something different because they don't want you to fill it in now. They want the 10th term. Okay, well, I'm not going to list out all the numbers, but I do have my pattern, and I do have my a sub 1. So I can go a sub n equals, using the pattern, negative 14 plus n minus 1 times 6. 6n minus 6, negative 14 plus. So 6n minus 20. The arithmetic pattern is 6n minus 20. I know I went a little bit fast, so let me kind of show you the difference. So in the beginning, we got really good at that, right? You had the first term, you had the pattern, you found the formula, yay! And then in this one, you didn't have the formula, which means you didn't have the pattern, so you found the pattern to get the numbers that you fill in. But the problem is, I'm not asking you to fill in numbers. I'm saying, hey, you get this piece of information and this piece of information. Find the general rule about that piece of information so that you can find any term in the sequence. So now what I would do is I would take that 10 and I would plug it in. 6 times 10 minus 20, 60 minus 20 is 40. So what does that mean? The 10th term is 40. This is an explicit sequence, okay? I can find any term in that sequence. Now let me remind you, when you're dealing with recursive, and we'll deal with recursive later. Now let's do it now.
You need to take your temperature.
Recursive means I need the previous guy to get the next guy. So I could go a sub n equals the previous guy. What's the pattern? Plus 6, plus 6, plus 6. But I need the first one, which is negative 14. Technically, I could say, hey, the fifth term is 10. As long as I have one term in the sequence and I tell you what the pattern's going to be, I can find the numbers after and I can find the numbers before. That's my recursive. Okay? So, now let's look at this one. This one is a little bit more difficult. Why is it more difficult? Well, the problem is that every single time, what have I been giving you? I've been giving you the first term. So you're like, yay, the first term is 10. And then I give you the fifth term, which is, I don't know, 43. And then you figure out the pattern and you can write the formula. The problem is, this time I said, hey, the fourth term is 89. And the eighth term is 29. How am I going to get the 10th term? Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, hey, I'm going to pretend this is the first term. Because the truth is, it can be any term I want it to be. This could be the 15th, or this could be the third term in the sequence. If this was the third term, then that's the fourth and the fifth. I could find the second and the first based on the pattern. It's whatever I decide. So let me repeat back. They didn't give me the first term. The first term and the pattern have the power. So I'm going to go, hey, the fourth term is really the first term. So that means I really went 3, 2, 1. 3 back. So that means I really need to go 7, 6, 5. So that means that's really the fifth term. Then that also means, hey, if that's not the 10th term, 9, 8, 7. This is really the 7th term. I can call it whatever term I want. I just have to be consistent. If I'm going to lie to you, I have to lie to you, and I have to lie to you, so it's a truth. Okay? So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to pretend that's a sub 1, minus 3, minus 3, and then my a sub 10 is really a sub 7. And then now I'm going to go, hey, this looks just like this one. Take the first term. Oh, let me do this first. A sub n equals a1 plus n minus 1 times d. Take the first term. Take this, which is my fifth term in 29, and plug it in there. It's my fifth term. 29 minus 89 is negative 60. For D, D equals negative 15. Cool, I got the pattern. Well, now that I have the pattern, I can find the formula, because what do I need for a formula? The first term and the pattern. So I'm going to go 89 plus n minus 1 times negative 15. The first term, the pattern. Distribute, distribute. And then 84 minus 15n. That is my explicit sequence. But I don't want my explicit sequence. I actually want, sorry, I dropped my pen. I want my 10th term, which I'm pretending is my 7th term. So I'm going to plug in 84 minus 15 times 7, which I'm not feeling very smart right now. I don't know, 75, I'm not sure if I'm right. I've been wrong so much. Nope, I was totally wrong. 105. Negative 21. So, am I saying my 7th term? No, it's actually really my 10th term. So the 10th term in my sequence is negative 21. Yes, there's other ways, but this is very robotic. Use what I have to get what I need. Okay. Let's look at the next one. What's my problem with the next one? My problem with the next one is they told me the 3rd term was 11 and the 9th term was 41. Well, I don't want the 3rd term. I actually want the 1st term. Well, if that's the 1st term, 2 back, then that's really the 7th term, 2 back, which means my 10th term would really be 2 back, which is my 8th term. So I'm going to say this is my 1st term. This is my 7th term, and I really want my 8th term. So what do? A sub n equals A1, n minus 1 times D. Take my 1st term, take my information. Now, if you're lost here, what I need you to do is go back to the video, because I'm assuming these two made sense, then this should make sense without highlighting. Now that I got my pattern, I got to find my general rule. I need a 1st term and a pattern for my general rule. 11 plus 5 minus 1 times D. N minus 1 times 5. 5n minus 5 plus 11. 5n plus 6. That's my formula. But I don't just want my formula. I want my 8th term, which is really my 10th term. So I plug it in. 8 plus 6, 40 plus 6. So the 10th term, because it's not my 8th term, is 46. I just said it was my 8th term to get the answer. Okay? Now some of you are going to find a logic way to do it. I think that's awesome. There's definitely a logic formula way to do this as well. Okay? This one I made a little bit complex. Now, I want this to be my 1st term. So if it's my 13th, but it's my 1st, it's really 12 back. So that's my 18th term. Which means my 10th term is really 12 back. So it's really my negative 2 term. And some of you go, there's no negative 2 term. I understand. We're manipulating the situation to get what we actually need, which is the 10th term. But if you lie, it can all the same. It seems like truth. And I'm not saying do that, by the way. So I take my term. I use this, 18 minus 1, to get my D. Let me stop for a second and make sure I didn't make a mistake because I went fast. I knew I made a mistake. 20 minus 12 is 8, not 18. D equals negative 3. Oh, now I have the pattern. So I'm going to take the formula, which is my 1st and my pattern, figure it out, negative 5 plus n minus 1 times negative 3. Distribute, negative 3n minus 8. Take my fake negative 2 term to get my real 10th term, which is negative 2. Okay, let's see what the homework is. Okay, so I guess I'm not going to do homework until I get to 10.12b.